I recall the autumn of 2020. Not the specific days, but a feeling. My desire to talk about that feeling is quite big, but there is a knowing inside that once the words are spelled out or spoken, the feeling may be diminished. Still, I am reassured by the fact that this memory is ingrained in me and I own it forever. Therefore, nothing can dispel it of its magic. The memory returns me back to a period of introspection. I was making my debut album, spending countless days crafting what seemed to be my first serious artistic statement. At least I saw it that way. I took it very seriously. A piercing curiosity allowed me to dive into a world so rich and mystical, but so fragile at the same time, since it always faded upon my engagement with the real world. It was something that I believed in the most out of all things, although couldn't dare to admit it with an open heart to anyone. I didn't believe that I was competent enough to proclaim to the outer world that I have something of great value. I was just beginning to learn how to mix music, how to properly play bass guitar, piano, and of course, despite the fact that I had been playing electric guitar for 9 years at that point, I still struggled with improvisation and soloing. That lack of confidence, however, was compensated by many things. By endless attempts of trying again and again. By feelings of itching excitement when things would appear in harmony before my eyes. By the sense of mystical envelopment when my inner world would explode before me. By the strange knowing that this is the right thing. Confidence in what I was doing came to me, but I wasn't ready to translate it to the people around me yet. Despite the fact that that summer I went out to the street to play some cover songs and, for the first time, my own songs that were still in development at that time, I still kept quite a large distance between the project and the people around me. The project was one of my main concerns at the time, and to hold it inside each time I had a conversation with friends or family members was a somewhat soul-suffocating experience, since the world of Enter the Dream filled most of me. Enter the Dream. That's the title of the album I was making. I had an idea to explore the most memorable dreams that I had during the time in the form of poetry, music, and visuals. To merge all of those together into something that could no longer be split into separate parts. The memory takes me back. I remember standing in front of a forest, before which stretched a plain field covered in patches of snow. And the hollow wind calls forth to the trees guarding the horizon. I remember ravens gliding above endless boreal forests, and wolves having the depths of the tundra in their grip. Images of pure instinct. The horde is on the way to fulfill their task and bring forth the requested message. I remember the moon, the elusive and playful uncut chase in the sky that always knew something that I could never put a finger on. Still, despite her cunning nature, she filled me with purple majesty in the vast cosmos. Surrounded by all the pinks and purples, she carried me on that white translucence, meandering across the cosmos. I remembered the metal reverberating across the Netis River. I can still smell the cold breeze that it brought with it. The gentle figurine falls down, shattering across the stage. I remember the wolves. They showed up many times. The strangest and most powerful of all seemed to be the one that shapeshifted into a dragon and back into a wolf again, nailing me down with a stare that spoke of something unavoidable. was suddenly on mute. The beast appeared, with stillness absolute. I remember the sheep. For some reason, today they seem to be the farthest of all, but still sprawling deep inside of me, still on the same spiral. Make the leap and join the sheep, the sacred lambs upon the spiral. Most of all, I remember my bare feet on the wooden floor of my single-room apartment. Looking out the window into the neighborhood across a dense clump of trees, across the river flowing down beneath, stood the apartment buildings against the background of a hill thickly covered in trees. In some way, it was a simple, rather beautiful sight, but it connected me like never before. I felt the cold, hard concrete hundreds of meters away from me. I felt the heavy, cold metal that held it together from the inside. I felt the longevity, the roughness of those buildings. I remember being there and everywhere at the same time, silently screaming in the autumn morning chill. They spoke to me. It wasn't beautiful nature, nor was it something blissful, but it was completely real. That feeling is something that I remember, and along with the peculiar depth that it carries, it also holds the memory of my pursuit. It seems to encompass everything, at least be the door to everything that had happened then. It reminds me of a certain beauty in the connection with a world that is not so directly accessible. Something so lively, so active in its nature. The land of myth where you are nothing but awareness. A universe which swallows those who even for a second close their eyes into a state of unconsciousness. Apart from the wooden floor of my apartment, my bare feet have never been to any of the mentioned places. I have never been in space. I have never seen the tundra from a bird's eye view. I have never seen a wolf in my entire life, and the moon never uttered a word to me. Neither did any dragon stare me in the eye. And I've yet to find that horizon where the hollow wind speaks words of guidance. But all of that is still ingrained in me, even stronger than most experiences I've had in my life. And it has nothing to do with success or lack of it, with appreciation or approval. It is simply something real that I was fortunate enough to witness in pursuit of what I believed to be the right thing. Saying this, I feel my soul wanting more, making me think that all of it wasn't enough. But I realized that it was all that I needed. And this desire for something more is simply the inverted wish to dive back into that land of myth. When the album released on the 5th of February 2021, I remember being joyful, but somewhat empty, stupefied in a sense, surprised that it's not as pleasant as I thought it was going to be. That day I was working from home, and to celebrate the occasion, I was drinking wine as I was doing my daily office tasks. Strangely, despite the fun and celebrative mood of the moment, the mountain peak had proven to be not so glorious. It completely paled in contrast to those evenings when I was dancing with my eyes closed, almost to the point of laughter, as the song Purple hit the epic climax at the 5-minute mark, and for a whole minute sent me fucking flying to the purple sky across the translucence of the Lamb spiral. There is nothing in the world as uniquely special as that.